Welcome back to Vintage Family Recipes with Belle. Today we're going to make apple pie. I wanted to show you where I'm getting the recipe from. When I was going through things with my mom, we came across this cute little book called 24 Pies Men Like. When you open it to the first page, it tells us that it's copyrighted in 1934 and my grandmother signed it in pencil. And it has all of these amazing little pie recipes, and so we are going to work our way through pies from this book. There's a couple in here that I probably will not make, but for the most part I'm going to give them a try. And it has multiple crust recipes, so I'm going to try those along with the different apple pie recipes. Full disclosure, I haven't made pie crust in a very long time. I got lazy and just bought the kind you got at the store and slapped it together. I decided to get back into this, and I've actually made the crust that I'm going to show you today. I've made it a couple of times. Sometimes it comes out great, sometimes it tastes good but doesn't look great. I also did try the recipe, the apple pie recipe that is in here, and it calls for grating all of the apples, and my family's comment about that was it tastes like you put applesauce in the pie, and they really didn't like it. So I'm going to make it using sliced apples instead of grated apples. But I will put both recipes in the description, so if you want to try it the way it was originally written by Proctor and Gamble Company, you can do so. So I've done a few things ahead of time, and then I'll complete a few other steps with you. So I have already added my 1.5 cups of flour, my 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, and I'm going to add my 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So there's my 1/2 teaspoon, and now I'm going to sift all of those 3 ingredients together very quickly. I have my nice big flat-ish bowl here to mix in, so it gives me more space, surface area to mix. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my 1/2 cup of Crisco. I put mine actually in my freezer for about 15 minutes so it gets nice and cold and firm, and it's actually a little bit easier to mix together. So first I'm just going to cut it, and very carefully, not even carefully, I shouldn't say carefully, I'm just going to dump it in with the flour, and I'm just going to drop it all around the flour. And I'm not even careful about like how I cut it or how big it is. I just cut it and put it in. And it does say 1/2 cup. It looks like a lot, but it's really not. If you have a favorite pie recipe or a favorite crust recipe, I'd love to know what it is. I'd love to see how even different regions of the country, what different pies they make or what they use in their pies. So now I'm just going to blend the Crisco and the flour all together, and the flour mix all together in my bowl. Okay, so now that I have this kind of all in little small pieces and mixed around, I am going to get my cold water and my egg and put that together. There's my egg yolk. Put my egg white aside for covering the top of the pie as a cover so that it'll be nice and shiny. So I just put that aside because I will use that. Now I'm going to get some cold water to mix with my egg yolk. 8 1/2 tablespoons. And then I'm going to just slowly pour this in the batter. mix it all in here together. There we go. Now it's time to just get my hands dirty and oops, and put this all together so it's nice and firmed in a ball. And I'm just throwing it everywhere because I'm not being as careful as I should be. And I am actually going to, it doesn't say to do this, but I haven't had as much success rolling it out if I don't. I am going to wrap it in saran wrap and put it in the refrigerator for just a couple of minutes so that it will firm up just a little bit more. And then I will, and actually, maybe not, it feels pretty good. And then once I shake the flour mixture down on the wax paper, it should be just fine. Maybe this is going to roll perfectly today. We'll see. I always struggle with that, making sure that it's the right consistency. That's one of the reasons I stopped making pie crust, is because I was getting so frustrated. But I've decided that I'm going to give it a try again. Let me rinse off my hands. I do have pastry flour. So I am going to sprinkle the pastry flour onto my waxed paper to help roll it out. Maybe I did semi-decently. We'll see in a minute. Too sticky. No, it actually looks like it's gonna maybe come apart. Let's see here. Got it. Okay. Hey, me. There we go. Now I remember why I started buying pie crust. Pre-made. Hopefully, as I make the rest of the insides of the pies through this book, my pie crusts will start to become better because I will have lots of practice. But this first one is going to be a little rough, but it's still going to be edible. I am going to grab a cinnamon sugar mixture. It does not say to do this, but I am going to grab some cinnamon and sugar, and I'm going to sprinkle it in the bottom of the pie plate along with a little bit more powdered sugar. Doesn't say to do that either. However, I know based on what I did last time that my family liked it better when I actually added that bit to it instead of just leaving it in that Great Depression type dessert with almost no sugar, no cinnamon in the recipe either at all. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of my cinnamon and sugar mix in the bottom of the pie. I've already cut up my apples. I have Granny Smith in here, and I also have one Honeycrisp apple. I like that one red apple with the rest of the apples being green. I just like the way it tastes. If I use all-purpose, I'm going to want to sift it. So I'm just going to use some pastry flour and some sugar, and I'm going to put it in a bowl so I can mix it together. flour. My 1/4 cup of sugar, 1/2 cup of sugar. First I'm going to mix these two things together, which if I were following the recipe exactly, these are the only two things that I would mix in with the grated apples, because that's what they would have been. Pie crust is very much what it called for, though, from the 1934 book. The only thing I'm changing is what I do with the apples, because that's all I have left. So we're definitely going to use a little bit more nutmeg than I would normally use, just to give it a little bit more flavor. And once again, I'm going to just take my hands and mix it around in with the apples and let it soak. The last of the sugar and flour mixture in. And now get my apples spread all the way around. This pie recipe also does not call for putting butter in it or on the top of it. So now I'm going to roll the next crust out. There we go, that's better. Make sure it's all nice and floury, and then press it down. Okay, there's that. I start it at 425 degrees for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to bump it down to 350 degrees for 30 minutes. So let me go over and turn on my oven, and then we will cover up the pie and do the last couple steps. I did put tin foil on the bottom of my oven so that if the apples do leak some of their juice out of the pie, it won't get all over my oven and burn and stick to the bottom of my oven. So here we go. Oh, maybe I have a good pie crust. We shall see. And then I'm going to make my cut. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's my cut right in the center to let out my steam. Now I'm going to go around the edge with my fork and just make sure the edges are nice and tight together. And they seem to be. Now I can put this with a little bit of water and just mix it together and then carefully just dab it around. So this is the apple pie using 24 pies men like. We'll see. I have 2 men. One is very hot.
Smells good. Smells like apple pie.
Yes.
Now it's upside down pie.
Now it's upside down pie.
Okay, here we go.
Yep, there you go. Yeah, I can see the steam coming off of it.
great.
The crust, how's the crust?
It's good.
Okay. Too hot?
Yes.
Yeah, it's still too
hot.
warm.
That's why I was making the face, not because it tastes bad.
Okay.
It tastes good. It's good enunciation there. It tastes good. Pie good. Me like.
Because
Mongo like pie?
it's 24 pies that men like. Thanks for joining us on Vintage Family Recipes with Belle. If you haven't yet, subscribe, like, leave us a comment. Next time I'll be making the banana cream pie recipe from the Depression era, 24 pies men like.